got 10 minutes left. Let's go.
Okay, ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey listeners, welcome to Wine, Women's Insights on News and Entertainment. I'm Shirley and I'm drinking Pinot Grigio from La Vendema.
I'm Treese and I'm drinking Winking Owl Pinot Grigio.
I'm Jenilyn and I'm also drinking Winking Owl White Zinfandel.
I'm Tia. I'm drinking Livingston Chianti, doesn't matter.
Chianti.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's a good one. I like it.
Thank you.
And we will be discussing a couple of topics, including sexism in the media and politics, the Stockley protests, some Kevin Hart scandals, some props from Issa Rae, and we're going to have a little section called Let's Wine About It. Quick disclaimer, if you're at work or, driving, maybe don't pour yourself a glass of wine. But if you're not driving home from work or you're sitting somewhere comfy, go ahead and pause while you pour yourself your favorite glass. Or, if you don't drink, that's kind of cool. Go ahead and pour your beverage of choice. And if you're under 21, go ahead and pour yourself some juice. Remember to always drink responsibly. Relax and join us for wine. Now let's get sipping. That's good.
Oh, that's too much.
Oh, well. Gotta drink it all. Cheers.
Work night.
I'm ready.
We're adulting today. Maybe
The first
editing this
topic.
part out. Oh, okay. All right, here we go.
Yes, the first. Go ahead.
Pod Save America, right? All right. So we're going to...
Friends of the pod. Friend of the pod here.
Is that what we say? What's happening?
Yeah, that's Pod Save
So
America.
was that
Friend of the
last
pod.
week? All right. So last week on Pod Save America, our lovely friends interviewed Hillary in her home.
They're not really our friends, just in our head.
They're actually our best
Totally.
friends.
They're actually my best friends. I was at John. Was it John that recently got married?
Yeah,
One of them.
He's our
got
best
married.
friends. We were there.
Yes, I was at John's wedding, and
Yes.
it was wonderful. I feel like I'm going to get
the
sued
ring bearer.
for saying that. I don't know why. I felt liability.
I'm going to emphasize that
Allegedly.
they are friends in my head, and
There it is.
because that is allegedly what I like to think when I have friends. They're famous, legit.
There it is. There it
Hey,
is.
so in this podcast, they interviewed Hillary, and she talked about things leading up to her book, What Happened in the Last Election. I want to say she was really mean to Bernie. I'm just gonna go ahead.
I kind of had that same feeling too.
I was
it was-
like, ouch, when I was
It
listening
was-
to her discuss Bernie.
It felt forced, though. It felt forced. It felt like, why is this all of a sudden this angry Hillary now? Like, it felt forced.
Sorry, guys, my dogs are barking in the background. Can you hear them?
It's cool.
It's okay. We love
Shut
them.
up!
Mhm.
Can't.
We love the dogs. We love
Oh, boy.
PETA. We love dogs.
Yes, we do. We love them.
I thought you
They're
were
all right.
talking about pita bread or something.
I thought you were talking about PETA from the Hunger Games.
Me too. I also went there as well.
There's a lot of PETAs out there.
So many pitas.
But yeah, I did. I felt like it felt forced because it was just like it was a question that I felt wasn't related, and then she just went like off on Bernie's not a Democrat. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, she really emphasized that he has his own agenda and that he was
Mhm.
not representing the Democratic
Yeah.
Party.
I mean, she has a point, though.
She does have a point. It wasn't related to the question, in my opinion, though. I was just like,
Can we?
why?
Do you remember what the question was? Just for
It had
reference.
something to do. Wasn't it when they were talking about like the strategy for like her strategy in terms of debate and like what his strategy was and what he was bringing in terms of policy, if I'm remembering correctly.
And how
Excuse
he
me.
made it incredibly difficult for her. Well, it was incredibly difficult for her because she was trying to kind of continue on what President Obama's legacy, which she's like, I was defending that tooth and nail. And God, I just had a flashback, sorry. Into the moment of like how I felt like I was in the room with her as she was upset about this. So she started talking about that, like how it was difficult for her because she had to carry the torch of President Obama as well as implement her own stuff. And then you have Bernie, who isn't a Democrat at all. He has nothing to like prove at this point, so he can just kind of say and do whatever he wants, and no one kind of like checks like how is he gonna pay for things and how like difficult, like because he made no what's what I'm looking for, like he didn't identify as a Democrat coming into the election.
Right. So basically she was really upset because she had all her topics and things that she wanted to do as president and had facts to back it up. She had a plan, but Bernie just came out saying like, I want to do this and this, but he never had like, how is he going to do it?
Right.
So she was mad because she did the homework and he didn't, and he was still getting a huge fan base, which was taking away from her. Yeah.
Well, that was just practice for the general election because no homework was done.
Right.
Well, right.
So
and then that's the other thing too, is that kind of like the stuff that Bernie brought up in the primary election kind of fed over into general because he kept, she didn't even refer to her. I don't think she said his name not one time in that interview, maybe once or twice.
But that's like a political thing. You dismiss the other guy. That's what every candidate does.
Like, well, she's a dick. I just realized that while thinking about it. But no, she even talked about like how it was like it kind of just fed into stuff that for the general election basically too. And then no one ever and then the media also had played a part in it because they would bounce off of anything that he did in the election.
45.
I cannot. So I'm going to stick to that.
I guess we should let everybody know that we're huge fans of number 45. So
allegedly.
That was sarcasm.
In case you didn't get that. So so I thought she was like really mean towards Bernie.
I thought so too.
Or like, I mean, but he did what he had to do, because even in like the general election she had with President Obama, like, man, that one debate, I was like, they fucking hate each other back in 2008. I was like, man.
Her and Obama?
Gloves were off. Yes. It was like, it was so scary. I was like, man, Obama brought the Leo out. Hashtag Leo. How you doing?
Okay. Okay. Relax.
But like, it was so like, it was very intense. But then they did go on. But I do felt like Bernie and people tried to like rally and support her, but it was just too late because the damage was already done. Like in terms of like not trusting her, calling her crooked, and like all the stuff that she like. I feel like she probably should have had a candid podcast moment or a fireside chat early on, like during the election, to kind of like rein it in or something. I don't know what she could have done different to do,
But the thing is though, like, I think she never would have been able to get to that point because the DCC wouldn't have allowed that, because then it would become just what 45 was doing in the general election. Do you know what I mean? Like it never got to policy.
Yeah.
Now I feel weird.
Cricket.
I'll put a cricket sound right here.
There it is. There it is.
Edit this out.
Gonna edit it all in.
I think it all works.
All in.
I think it all works.
I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Jen, you have the book, right? You're gonna be reading it.
Yes, I am. I started it a little bit, and then I got excited. I don't know. It's a little much already. I feel like you have to be in the mind state to go back. And her recashing right in the beginning, she talks about going into number 45's inauguration and like how her feelings are into it. And it's really sad and kind of depressing. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Even in the podcast, the guys were talking about how it was more raw than it had any business being. So it'll be very interesting to go through the book, or whoever's going to read it, and see,
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know why. I mean, I understand like a lot of people have hesitations reading the book because they don't want to go there and they don't want to really hear her excuses of what had happened. But I forget which podcast I was listening to. It might have been PSA or maybe it was an NPR podcast. But I feel like everyone made a huge deal of Hillary bringing out this new book. But like Bernie wrote a book too, and nobody really made a big deal about it, you know?
Real quickly after me and Treese.
Sure did.
We got the book because we went to one of his talks, like a month or so after the election?
Yes.
If not even that. Yeah. Maybe a month.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he had a book out and there wasn't a fuss. But again, I don't know if it's, Bernie can do whatever he wants. And Hillary is kind of, she's in it. She's entrenched. She's got all this stuff against her. She's got to live up to blah, blah, blah legacies. I don't know if she's a woman. I don't know.
Women in media, am I right?
Right?
I don't know.
No, I agree.
The greatest transition.
And I remember I got excited about when Bernie announced it because I felt like it was a lot with the election and the whole, situation of how, certain, people got in office and things like that. I just felt like it was a lot of depression and a lot of sadness for me personally. And I felt like I needed to, I was excited, and I told Tia, I was excited about going to see Bernie because I felt like I needed to know, what's going to happen next. And, what can we do to prevent any of the bullshit and the rhetoric that he, spewed throughout his entire situation, to prevent that from happening.
Right. And did that happen in the book? Was that, I don't know if you guys read the book.
That's a great question. I did not.
I did not.
So in the talk though, is that the feeling that you got, or?
Yeah, I felt very positive about it because he still wanted to fight. The point, he just kept saying, he still wants to fight the good fight. We still have to, we're going to give him a chance and see what he does, but we're also going to not take the shit that he's giving us also. We're not putting up with that. We're not just going to take anything that you try to change and let it be. We're going to fight you on anything you do, basically.
Right. I didn't hear much about Bernie or Hillary's book coming out until they came out. And I know that Tia and Treese were excited about going to the talk, but I don't have interest in those things. I was saying that earlier because unless it's going to be okay, and here's what we're going to do next, or here's what needs to happen next, I don't care. I don't want to rehash. And I think it was Anna Marie Cox, remembering people's names, that was on PSA talking about Hillary's book before they did the interview. And she's like, I don't want to relive this, but if I have to, I want to know, what's the plan? Do you know what I mean? I want to know what's next. I'm waiting for the action plan. And that's not, I don't think, and hopefully maybe that'll be what's in the book, but I was even less interested reading the book after Hillary's interview on PSA because I was like, if this is just going to be a bitch fest and it has nothing to do, this is how I feel about all political books. There's nothing to do with the gender. If this is just going to be this is what sucked about it, then I have no interest,
Yeah. Understandable. I've never read a politician's book before. I'm kind of interested to see what she has to say. I'm hoping it's not just a whole excuse and bitch fest, but we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like, oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and quote my homie Tupac right now.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
So one of the things I'm in my mind, because I've never read a political book either. So I'm just gonna go ahead and preface that.
Okay.
But in my mind, I feel like the books are supposed to help you with sparking your own interest of what you can do to create and funnel change too, which is what Shirley was saying. So I feel like what Tupac was saying is that even though I wasn't the one to create the change or change the world, what I'm writing and what I'm doing is going to spark a brain, spark something in someone else's brain to create change. So in my mind, Hillary has wrote something in this book.
I see where you're going.
I'm gonna read where she especially the part where she talks about the sexism. That's supposed to be in the book somewhere, a chapter about the sexism she had to endure over the years of being in politics and everything else. So I feel like that will give us something somewhere, you know what I mean, to start the process of what can I do or how can I do something different, even though she laid the groundwork, because she did crush that glass ceiling by being nominated for
So a manual on
I
here's
mean,
what not to do and here's what not to get tripped up on. That's
right.
how you're thinking of it.
Right. And then also just like basically like her mistakes, and then what can I do? Like, how can I be more assertive or do whatever else that I felt like any errors that she made in her like missteps to greatness? Like, what can I do to learn from that? And
Can I just go back?
I don't know.
You mentioned that she crashed the glass ceiling. I'm just going to change that and say that she cracked it, which I think is, I mean, a lot of what she encountered had a lot to do with sexism, whether or not people want to talk about it or not, or acknowledge it or not. And that's something that we see across the board. 50% of the population, I'm guessing, is women, but how many women are in the government?
Right.
Like
in the Senate, in the House. Yeah.
Right.
That's the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
Don't, you know what?
It's really hard.
Things, Shirley.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And then I was like, wait,
separate.
what? That's what I
mean,
thought.
a good example of sexism is that we've elected number 45 as president over a woman who's capable of doing something. And we got this guy who just recently tweeted, segue, who
we're always going to shout out the segues now.
We're going to have to do that. We're going to segue this out. Who just recently retweeted.
Grab him by the pussy? No, not that one. Okay.
No.
Sorry, that's another one. Which is
you can. The one where you can just grab a woman, just kiss him whenever you want. Is that what he retweeted? No, he retweeted somebody's.
You just got so close to that mic there. I feel like you're
on
hype now.
Sorry. On that tweet about him hitting a golf ball and then hitting Hillary in the back and her falling. Like, that's our president who retweeted that.
Yeah, that's not a 13-year-old on Twitter.
No.
Right.
Yeah. It's not your senile uncle. It's well, it might be, but it's also POTUS.
But can we just acknowledge that it doesn't have to be a senile older person that doesn't know any better?
We can edit that out.
No,
you're right.
That in.
It's
okay.
But it's kind of ingrained in a lot of people and a lot of
people.
Yeah.
Not a topic that can be dissected in 15 minutes. But
no, it can't. But
in terms of politics and how it played a role in where we are right now, I would say it had a lot to do that. Like Jenilyn was talking about, like we had a person who blatantly and openly disrespected women and treated them as property, and this is not something
still
new.
Disrespect.
Not said anything. His own fucking wife doesn't want to hold his hand.
But there goes that E rating.
Rated E.
And you have people picked him over a woman who has had a lot of experience and is well put together. And yes, she has her flaws, but God damn it, she can be, she has tact.
She does have tact.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with number 45 being our president, he set an example for, the rest of the U.S. that, it's okay, we can step on women and degrade them as he does because he's the president.
Yeah.
Hashtag segue.
I'm killing it at these segues.
You really are.
Well,
and that's what's so frustrating, right? Because it's weird because it's something that's not new, like the sexism that we all face in media and in government, especially for our government officials that are women. But it's a weird place where it's just so out in the open, where like our commander-in-chief is this person, so like other government officials or even the regular Joe just feel totally entitled to just openly treat us like shit. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, how much of this is going to be like, it's weird because it's like, it's a bad thing, obviously, because it's still happening, but it's also, I think, possibly positive in the sense that we can see it more and then we can attack it more. Does that make sense?
That's true. Yeah.
It's because it's not so hidden anymore. We can't say, hey, you can't ignore this. Like, you're seeing it everywhere now. And I think that's maybe the only positive thing that hurts me to say that goes into it, I guess.
Yeah.
Case in point, boobs. There are only two things in this country, I believe.
You mean the B-double-O-B-S?
And boobs.
Go ahead, Tia.
B-double-O-B-S.
Let's
Tia, bring us in. Bring us in.
What was her name? What's the
Brooke Baldwin. I keep trying to say Brooke Davis.
Okay, Brooke.
That's One Tree Hill.
Shut down an interview with a man who was discussing Jamel. How do you say her name?
I think it's
Jamel.
Yeah, it's Jamel Hill from ESPN.
On ESPN, who called out 45 on being a white supremacist, and he basically said that it wasn't her place because she is a broadcaster on ESPN or an anchor or whoever on ESPN. But he said that he believed in two things. Was it the First or Second Amendment? The First
Amendment. I thought it was First Amendment.
No, it's First Amendment and boobs.
First Amendment.
First Amendment and boobs. And our girl Brooke, because we're claiming her now. Sorry. Brooke.
Oh yeah, we are totally claiming her. Yes.
She shut that interview down. She did not let him get away with that. And the other guy that was on there, a black man, was props.
Snaps all around for that guy.
I don't think he quite knew what to do with it. He responded, which was good, but Brooke, she was done. She was done. There was no moving.
And you could see the wheels turning. She was just like, is this happening?
I know.
Did he really just do this right now?
Which is like a natural, I think, reaction for someone who's on live TV as an anchor, which is like CNN, it's not Fox News or whatever. So she's not used to something or someone saying shit like that. Also, let's call him out. His name is Clay Travis on the Fox radio show.
There it is.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
That guy is.
Yep. First Amendment and boobs. Yeah.
Just made no sense. Like, and he felt so justified, which is what we were talking about. Like, just
he didn't get it.
No.
He didn't understand it at all.
Or maybe he just didn't care to get it.
I think he didn't care. I think he didn't care. Yeah. It's just I think it's just sad. It's like I have no other words other than I'm weary. Like I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. And then
I hope he chokes on a boob. Honestly, boobs have never let him down. I hope he fucking choke.
Yeah, but that'd be like the best way for him to go out, though.
Because he loves his boobs in the First Amendment.
He loves boobs.
Yeah.
What if they were? I'm not even gonna go there.
That's.
Ooh,
I was really
slow.
I will say, I was a bit annoyed with his comment because I felt like it took away from the whole discussion for what they were talking about. Even so, the whole point of what they were supposed to be discussing was Jamel Hill's her views about Trump and how that should she or should she not be fired from ESPN and the White House making her White House forcing or telling ESPN to fire her for speaking her truth about what she saw and what she thinks is going on with the current government situation and whatever. Took away from that, and they couldn't have that healthy conversation and debate about it. And it was on CNN, a lot of people watching. And I felt like that got missed because of him being a dick and just saying First Amendment and boobs. So you just took away from everything else and what everyone else could have gotten from the show.
Right.
And from that
Which two things about that. Okay. First of all, let's talk about sports and politics really quickly because a White House representative at the podium said that she should be fired. Why are they even discussing this? Number one. True. Number two, this is the most politically charged NFL season ever. So let's not act like people in the NFL aren't talking about politics. Let's not act like sportscasters aren't talking about politics, because they are. And it started with athletes standing up, or literally not standing up, and saying enough with the bullshit. So let's not even act like an anchor on ESPN can't bring this stuff up, because the sports organizations are bringing this stuff up and threatening athletes if they have some type of political stance on something. So screw them. And that just like, I'm tired of the catch-22. Like, you can't say this can't be politically charged and then be pissed off when basically you're not hearing what you want to hear. Like,
the commander-in-chief is a blatant racist, and he's the president of the United States. And I mean, I don't understand why that's not a.
Timeline about what?
About the whole Jason Stockley and Anthony Lamar Smith case.
Oh, what's that?
Do you want me to get into this?
Sure.
Let's get into it.
All right, girls, over here we go.
Dish.
So it was a cold winter night on December 20th, 2011. So we'll go through the timeline real quick, but what's going on right now is that we have Officer Jason Stockley and Anthony Lamar Smith, who's our victim, and I'm just playing out the characters, and Judge Timothy Wilson, who presided over their case. So this whole incident happened in 2011, December 20th, 2011, where Officer Stockley and his partner, which is a guy I went to high school with, it's really awkward, saw Anthony Lamar Smith at a church's parking lot, church's chicken, good shit, and they thought he was dealing drugs. So long story short, they started pursuing him in his car when Anthony Smith decided to drive away. They slammed into his car. Officer Jason Stockley gets out of his car and then shoots Anthony Smith, and he dies. So that's December 20th, 2011. There's a lot more details to it, but I'll get into that with the judge's document, the court document. Let's see. So 2011, February 2012, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed on behalf of Autumn, who is Anthony Lamar Smith. They end up getting that lawsuit for $900,000 in December 2013. August 2013, Officer Stockley resigned, and he moved to Texas. So he's gone.
he was able to leave the state?
He left the state, right? So August 9th, 2014 is pretty significant. Michael Brown shot. So, you know, the Ferguson protest erupts in St. Louis. It's a whole big deal, as it should be. May 16th, that's when the first-degree murder charges were filed against Stockley. So he's arrested and he's brought back to St. Louis. July 24th, Stockley favors a bench trial instead of a judge and jury trial. August 1st.
And real quick, let's just say a bench trial is just the judge.
Just the judge, right.
Right, there's no jury.
There's no jury. That was 2017. August 1st, 2017, the trial began. August 9th, 2017, the trial ended. So from August 9th until now, St. Louis has been in limbo. We knew that the trial was ended. We were just waiting for the verdict, and it just kept getting postponed. There was rumors that it was going to be this weekend, but, you know, shit was happening in there in that weekend for St. Louis, so they moved in next weekend. So September 15th, 2017, which was this past Friday, the verdict comes out, and it was, surprise, surprise, it was not guilty for Officer Jason Stockley. So there was rumors anyway from the beginning saying that if it's not guilty, protests in St. Louis are going to be way bigger than Michael Brown was. And it has been. I mean, it's been peaceful for the most part, but the protests, you know, got violent towards the end of the nights. But I mean, that's what's going down right now. We have a bunch of protests. It's mostly downtown St. Louis. That's where the trial was held, in the courthouse in the downtown. Protests were done in downtown. Saturday, they went out to West County Mall, which is a little bit off like the suburbs. They went out to more of the suburbs, Chesterfield, came back downtown. A whole bunch of different events in St. Louis were canceled. The U2 concert was canceled. I didn't even know they were in town. Ed Sheeran sold out concert was on Sunday, canceled. Yeah.
I'm annoyed that I'm more upset about that, and I'm not even in St. Louis.
I was too. I mean, I didn't even have tickets for that show, but I was like, what?
Like that's
Ed Sheeran?
Okay, but O-Town performed.
O-Town, guys.
Really?
I went to on Monday or no Sunday. O-Town was there. I went to. I said O-Town needed this. They can't afford to cancel it.
They can't afford it. No.
I mean, they really can't. They have
love O-Town. I love them. I don't even care what
Ed
anyone
Sheeran
says.
though, and you two, they're like, yeah, no, we good. We probably don't need to
That's true.
put ourselves. They said they don't want to put their fans in danger if we were all going and down.
I get it.
O-Town was like, we're fine.
Let's pray.
These 5 people will be okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be fine. And they were fantastic.
Yeah.
So that was
and this judge is set to retire. Yes.
So he's set to retire. He's done in December.
Case.
Yeah, this was his last case. It was his last case to remember, and he went out with a bang. So
let's be honest about what really happened, right? The defense attorney and the prosecutor and the judge got together and they were like, this is what we're gonna do. Okay. That's what happened.
Allegedly.
I guess.
So so the judge put out a court document. It was 30 pages long, and I finally read it. And from the get-go, you could already tell that the judge was defending Stockley. Right. Like there wasn't anything that he was trying to say that Smith might have been in the right. So for
not even that he was in the right, just that it wasn't justified.
Right. Right. So there's a couple of things that the defense for Anthony Lamar Smith, one of them was saying that there was a gun in his car, and that's when Officer Stockley said he saw a gun in his car. His partner said that there was a gun. So whenever they went up to his car, he reached for his gun, and that's why he shot and killed him. There was also part of the
dashboard
discovery.
Yeah, they said the defense was saying that there was 4 consecutive shots, and then there was like a pause and a 5th shot, and that's what they were trying to say that was the kill shot. But like according to like cell phone videos and witnesses, that wasn't the case, so they dismissed that, which is fine. Then they also they found that it was just consecutive shots. There wasn't like a pause where the 5th shot would have been the kill shot. Then they said that Stockley planted the gun in his car because he like went back to his own patrol car, like back and forth. Right. He went multiple times, but they can't prove that he was like planted in the car. Right. And
but
then
the gun only had his
prints.
only his prints. Stockley's only his prints. But the problem is when the forensic scientists were on trial, they also said that we said that Stockley's prints were on there, and we can't say Anthony Lamar Smith's were on there, but we can't say that it could have been on there. So it's not very definitive. And then
and I guess the only, like, if I were to be the defense attorney for Stockley, I guess it would be like, well, he was reaching for it, so he didn't touch it yet.
Right.
But even then, he had to have touched it at some point for it to be in his car.
So then that part with the autopsy saying that there was 4 shots on the left side of Anthony Lamar Smith, which is, it works if he's sitting down.
Right.
But then there's like if he's sitting down, but there's a one random shot where they're like, if he's sitting down up straight, then they're not sure how that shot got in unless he was reaching for something. So that's what they're saying. That's where maybe he was reaching for a gun. But even, I mean, Stockley even said that he thought he had a gun. So I don't think he can confirm or deny that there was a gun. And the last part for the defense is, this one was the best one, I think, because it's a bunch of bullshit. But I got to get this line right because it's a piece of shit guy.
The defense for Stockley?
No, defense for Anthony Lamar Smith.
Okay.
So during the car chase, getting all riled up. During the car chase, the video cam shows Stockley talking to his partner, in quote, "Going to kill this motherfucker, don't you know it?" And once they hit Anthony Lamar Smith's car, he jumps out of it and shoots him. So the defense is saying that's premeditated murder. I mean, he said he was going to do it. He fucking killed him, and that's it. But the judge, he said that, you know, it's a high stress environment. You can say whatever you want during that moment because you can't really control it because it's a very stressful environment. And there was also like other rumblings and like from the dispatch radio, so it's out of context. You can't, maybe he was responding to something else that was on that radio, and we're not sure that he was talking about Anthony Lamar Smith and that he was going to kill him. So that was what it was, that court document, and that, like, that one blew me, took me over the edge, because I'm like, that's fucking reaching. So that's the court documents for that, and that's why he is not guilty. And that motherfucker, Officer Jason Stockley, said, so Riverfront Times, man, I guess I should have been doing my source documents, huh? Sources? That timeline was from Washington Post by Jim Salter.
I'll add links to the video. It's fine. We'll just link everything on the YouTube video. It's fine. Okay.
St. Louis Post dispatch by Kristen Byers interviewed Officer Jason Stockley, and his quote that I had to write down because it feels like a burden has been lifted, but the burden of having to kill someone never really lifts, is what he said. And he said, and he said, I know everyone wants someone to blame, but I'm just not the guy. Officer Jason Stockley. So that's what's happening in St. Louis right now. It's fucking insane.
Except with you right now? Because I don't.
Yeah, you gotta drink that wine. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, the whole city's unrest. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Just a little thing. It pisses me off because, like, yes, I understand you all have families that are police officers and they get put in certain situations, but I just feel like that's bullshit because you still need, at the end of the day, it's still a life. Like, you're not trained to kill anyone. I thought you were trained to serve and protect. Right. But, like, yeah. So, no, I'm sorry. I'm upset.
Here's where I'm semi-conflicted, right? Because I work with officers. And I get where they come from, especially in terms of a very stressful environment. I totally get it, right? At the same time, though, as much as I would fault people who commit crimes for their actions, right? Like, I still feel like if you commit a crime, no matter how much I may have a bleeding heart, you must answer for your crimes. And something like taking someone's life, I'm tired of that being excused away. It's frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's really, really frustrating. And like, he literally said, I'm going to kill this person.
Right.
And then kills this person.
Right.
Like, the forensic evidence is there. The audio visual evidence is there. Like, it blows my mind. It's just, it's and it happens over and over and over and over and over again. And there's no, like, there's this idea, and it goes with what we were talking about before, it's sexism. Like, this person is getting away with it, and this person's getting away with it, and that person's getting away with it. So I'm going to get away with it, and they will get away with it. Like, they will. They will absolutely be defended to the end.
So I'm the same way, right? So I know you can't lump all cops as bad cops, but you can also lump all protesters as bad protesters, because there's a segment or a little section of protesters who went around St. Louis and breaking all the windows for all the storefront
and looting
and looting. So I went to the protests last night, and we were in front of where the hell were we? It was downtown, but we were protesting because they had locked up a whole bunch of protesters and they still haven't let them go. But as the cops were arresting these protesters, some of them, the cops were chanting, "Whose streets? Our streets," because the protesters were chanting that to them. So they chanted it back at them. And as far as like a professional level, I'm like, you can't, if you're a police officer, you can't be chanting that shit back.
It all goes to ego.
Respect. Right.
It all goes to ego, though. Everyone. They just get wrapped up in their own ego, and so they automatically justify it for themselves, and then it just depends on who gets backed up in that justification and who, gets arrested,
right,
for the same thing. This was one I kind of knew that it was going to be a not guilty, but it was kind of like, there's been plenty of cases where it's just like, if this is the case that's going to come out guilty.
Yeah.
But like this one, like he literally said what he was going to do, and he did it.
Right.
He did it.
I don't know. I've been thinking about all of this stuff that's been going on with like police officers killing people, because it's been happening for so long that I just feel like I shouldn't be numb to it. I shouldn't be like, oh, like I'm upset, but I'm like, did I really think that it was going to be different this time, kind of thing. And I'm more frustrated that I felt like that police officers keep getting slaps on their wrist like nothing's happening to them for killing people. Like even with like, even going back to like Trayvon Martin with George Zimmerman, who like was told not to pursue and still pursued and then killed him, like killed Trayvon Martin. Like that, it's like no one's getting any type of like consequences for their behaviors. And that's the part that's frustrating to me, because just thinking about like being in Chicago and like gang life and how they're always like, we have to make an example out of somebody. So like the person that gets caught, they get all this time in prison, but like to show fear in other people to not commit these crimes, but like nothing's happening to these fucking police officers. And that's the part that's frustrating to me. Like, yeah, you're getting like unpaid leave. Oh, boo-hoo to you and your family because you're not getting paid. Or you get like leave of absence or whatever the fuck that is. But like nothing's like, you're not doing any type of real jail time for killing Black people.
And you're being congratulated, depending on where you live and your family. And you're being congratulated for getting rid of these people. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get any consequence, and you get a pat on the back.
Right.
Hey guys, hold on. I forgot about what the judge, you just reminded me, which was a huge thing that I read that I also blew up on. So anyway, in the court document, the judge said, quote, finally, the court observes, based on its nearly 30 years on the bench, that an urban heroin dealer not in possession of a firearm would be an anomaly. That's what he wrote in his court document.
Wait. Say, what?
So finally, the court observes, based on its nearly 30 years on the bench, that an urban heroin dealer not in possession of a firearm would be an anomaly. So that's what the judge, what's his name? Judge Timothy Wilson wrote in his court document. Like this was on page like 28 of 30. And after like reading everything, I already knew that he was like biased towards, like Anthony Lamar Smith. But reading that part, I was like, this motherfucker should have not.
Urban? You mean
urban?
Just go ahead and say Black.
Exactly.
Poor Black people who live in the city.
I mean, and to be biased enough to write something like that and be like, peace out, I'm done. This is my last
And that's why they chose him. That's why they chose him. I'm telling you. Allegedly, the defense attorney, the prosecutor, they were like, listen, if you want to get away with this, go for a bench trial. And if you want to go bench trial, go for this
guy.
This judge that's leaving. Because it's not going to be any risk to him. He's going to be off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, I feel like there's some truth to that. And that's the part that's like fucked up about it, is because you would think you want to go out with a bang on top of being that judge that just like finally gave people of color.
No,
but he did go out on a bang, but for
I know he did, but like on the opposite side.
Police officers, which is also a big thing. Like Jenna was saying, there are a lot of people who are big supporters of police officers, and like, fuck, I know.
And not that we're not supporters of police officers.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, I know some personally. I consider some like friends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not blanketing all people together, but just because you're in a position of power doesn't mean that you're just exempt from all rules of decency or civil law. Like you're civil and criminal law. I feel like as a police officer, you should be upholding those laws and be an example to other people. But when you're doing things, and yes, I understand that there are split decisions that need to be made, and I'm not discounting that it's stressful and there's PTSD and all this other stuff, but like you should still be held accountable to the laws that regular citizens are like governed by. Why would I respect you and follow you if you're not willing to respect and follow the laws that you tote and push on other people? It makes no sense. And the fact that like people that are like in charge are saying, no, yes, they are supposed to serve and protect, but they are serving and protecting the law. They're not actually serving and protecting individual citizens.
Right.
And that goes into, sorry. Oh, I'm going to edit that out.
Keep that in.
It won't be on audio. And that's something that's like, there's so many different things that are at fault. Training of the officers, services for the officers when they go through shit. Like there's so many things that are at fault for it. But at the end of the day, it's very simple. If you commit a crime, especially if you kill another human being, there needs to be some answer for it. Period. Mm-hmm. Period. And it shouldn't be a slap on the wrist and a pat on the back and you're on your way, regardless of your profession. Regardless. That's why there's internal affairs in police departments. They should be looking into that as well. That's why the military has their own court martials. Like there should be a way to answer for it. And it's not happening in the traditional criminal justice system at all. Period. On that note though, let's transition to another topic.
So in entertainment news, on Saturday, sometime really late, Kevin Hart apologized to his family, his wife and his kids, and I guess I want to say to his fans for allegedly cheating on his wife.
This apology just came out of nowhere?
I'm gonna let me go back.
Okay. Sorry.
So sometime in August.
Simmer down.
Yeah, so sometime in August, it was alleged that some video was shot of Kevin Hart in Las Vegas partying it up, and there is a screenshot of said video with a woman who TMZ is reporting is 27 years old. And so there is about I want to say this is about like 5-minute video clip or something of them partying it up in Vegas. And so she's alleging that she has no ownership or rights to this tape, but that they're also reporting that Kevin Hart is allegedly being extorted for millions of dollars, approximately $15 million to be exact, in order for them to keep their mouth shut and not release the video. And so in order for him to kind of get on top and get ahead of the story and just say, fuck you, I'm not paying you this money, I'm just going ahead and fuck it and talk to my family and apologize to them. And I'm going to also apologize publicly on social media and, announce my, the fact that I'm not perfect.
Jenilyn and I both have questions.
So before
you keep going. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So allegedly also earlier this summer, I want to say around July, around his birthday, he was also, there was also another video of him allegedly getting quote unquote frisky with the woman around 5 o'clock in the morning.
Love that word. Frisky.
On July 3rd. This happened around his birthday, and this is reporting from PerezHilton.com. And there are no words on whether or not this video is the same woman or anything related to this new incident of extortion.
The typing is so hard.
Stop.
It's me.
Stop. Go ahead.
So my question is, so I get the apologizing, but like, why publicly as well?
So I think the public part came out because, well, he was being extorted. So they were telling him, like, either you pay up or we're spreading this shit out, like, so that the world will know. And so for him, it's more of like, I'm getting ahead and letting hell up PR. I don't know anything about it, but I can pretend
I guess.
to.
Yeah,
So,
I guess.
So that's kind of where he was going of like, I need to get ahead of this thing. So in order, like, so he apologized publicly because, well, he shamed them publicly because it was going to come out at some point if he didn't pay that $15 million.
Wait, so
allegedly.
Was he cheating on these videos? Is that, I didn't get that.
Well, there's no whole, TMZ does not have the whole entire. Allegedly. They do just have 4 minutes of what may have went down, but he fessed up to what he did, fessed up to it, and alleged that he's not perfect and all of those things. So there's no, but they claim that there's like more footage of him engaging in this act.
Oh, okay.
See, but okay, again, I just feel like as long as you have this conversation with your family, then it doesn't matter that it gets released public. I get the PR stance of it, but like he would still have no, like, he could have apologized to his family and they could have released it publicly, but he would still have no reason to pay. Do you know what I mean? Because the real substance of the damage has been controlled, right? But also, I mean, I guess I don't care about celebrity intricacies that much. So I just feel like I don't need an apology. You didn't cheat on me. Like, I don't, but I know that there are fans out there that I guess will really be just like, how could you, blah, blah, blah. Right. Your relationship was goals and all that.
I might be one of them, you know?
Yeah, because I was rooting for him. I'm assuming he talked to his family before he came out with this video? Okay, because that would have been a surprise.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
He talked to them.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean,
I talked to him before?
Yeah, like to have that come out and have that conversation. And all the while, also news, which everyone knows, is that his wife is currently pregnant with their child. So that's also another added stressor on to her.
She pregnant again? Or is this the same pregnancy?
This is their first child together. And
she's been pregnant forever.
2 children from a previous.
I felt like she was too.
It's mainly because social media, guys. That's really what it is. It's like you announce it, and then it's like that whole process of like pregnancy. It's like it feels forever. At least
it lasts for a little under 10 months. Don't be fooled. It's not 9. It's closer to 10.
Yeah,
it's almost a year. It's a long time.
Wait, I thought the stork delivers the baby.
I thought she was pregnant like 2 years ago. I was just like, what?
Yeah, what? No. But you also say you don't care about media news, social stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's not that. It's the I don't need to be in the intricacies of your relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I don't care that much about Kevin Hart's relationship, so I'm just like.
Yeah. No, it's totally a PR move, and it's because of the thing is that like I get like even if it wasn't a PR move, like I get the whole public apology thing because I felt like it was gonna come out. So if I shame you publicly as my wife and as my like children, then I need to apologize publicly.
Okay, I get that.
So in that respect, like even if it wasn't PR, like he still owes them like a public, even though he probably like, man, you know, talking to his trying to educate him about, you know, don't get tripped up.
But I feel like he only owes them because everything else about the relationship has been public. Do you know what I was gonna say, maybe
my rib.
I mean, obviously, I'm not a celebrity, so I'm not putting my personal life out there like all like that. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel like you set yourself up though to have to make a public apology or admittance or whatever. Like, I feel like the relationships, especially for celebrities that last the best, are the ones that aren't just out there. Like, you don't have to. But this is such a social media age that, depending on the celebrity, I guess you kind of got to cater to your fans and your audience, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to buy into that. And when we make it big, I'm not going to buy into that.
But like,
I am.
When you're in the public eye, and like everything you do, like you have to grow your fan base. So like even I'm gonna talk about him segue / not really. Like Justin Bieber, like once you open yourself up, there's no like you can't close yourself off. Like you become a public like entity at this point. It's like your life is no longer your own. And he does like that's what.
But you also design that too. You also design that. Like you can have your fans like. I can't think of a celebrity right now, but you can have your fans like wanting more, but that doesn't mean you have to. And you're still going to have those stands. You're still going to have those people that are ride or die.
But like his whole comic like routine is based on his family. Like it's based on his wife. It's based on his kids. It's based like that. So he is always talking about them and Instagramming and tweeting and Snapchatting them.
Well, he should have thought about that before he was out here with these youngins being frisky.
And it was nice. I mean, he pulled the wool into everybody's eyes. Like now he's following the Hall of Fame of like cheating husbands up there with Jay-Z, Kobe, to name a few.
So disappointed.
And others, which no one seems to care about, but because it's Kevin Hart and he is who he is, it's gonna be always blown up right now. So that's all I was gonna say.
I
was just
I don't need these big eyes. I was just saying.
I felt like Therese.
This is some good material for the podcast listeners, guys.
All I'm saying is it
can't
wasn't
say
gonna
shit
take
what we're doing.
Cheers news and kudos and shout outs to our girl Issa Rae. So
wow. Whoa.
Yes.
Hey bestie Issa.
Hey girl, hey. So she was asked on the red carpet at the Emmys who she was rooting for.
Which is a weird question, but okay.
And she politely said, I'm just rooting for all Black people. And like unapologetic about it. And I was just like,
I'm just saying.
Get it, girl. Get it.
I just got back into Insecure over the weekend. And
girl, I just binge watched the first season.
Hey guys. Hey, I'll do this one. So let's whine about it. There's some things that I need to fucking whine about.
There goes that E rating.
WINE, WHINE. It doesn't matter. Let's whine about it.
Let's just drink.
Okay. Well,
here we go.
My thing is all these fucking clowns. And yes, E rating. If you don't like the F word, you should probably just skip ahead 5 minutes now.
They probably like skipped ahead about 10 minutes in. Maybe.
Okay, well, if you've made it this far and you need to skip again, now is the time.
Okay.
Can we just talk about all the fucking clowns?
I'll talk about it.
I don't mind them.
All the clowns. I mean, it's a thing. People have been scared of the clowns, but like, I just feel like they're coming at me left and right, just clown dicks flying at my face.
It was bound to happen after unicorns.
Listen, number one fear, clowns. Number two,
sorry guys, trigger warning.
You better not say boobs.
Trigger, no, BWBS.
My fears, the First Amendment and boobs.
I snorted. Keep that in,
sure
please.
Keep it. I'm gonna enhance that one.
But the clown. Okay,
they're everywhere, man.
Was it last year or the year before where it was random clown sightings? Just random.
Trigger warning. I'm done.
Random jerk people out in the community, out in the woods, just putting on masks and walking around. What is wrong with you?
I forgot about that.
The It remake, and then American Horror Story with the clowns. What is with all of the clowns? Can we talk about why this is a thing right now?
Tia, you were speaking about the clowns. Go ahead.
Look at her back to business. Back at it again.
I gotta figure
out. Back at it again with the podcast.
Damn, Daniel. Also good for podcast inside jokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listeners gonna love that.
Yeah.
I'm so heated. I'm so
heated. So hot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no. What I was saying was, I don't know if you all noticed this, but in the first episode of American Horror Story, like within the...
Spoiler alert.
I can't tell if it's in the show or if it's just a mocking commercial, but Louis, what's his name? Big Louis? He's got the gap in his teeth. His name is
Louis.
Louis Anderson, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He does a PSA where he's talking about how clowns are misrepresented and
he's
all of this bad media. And
No.
another celebrity is in there acting as a clown, but he's basically saying clowns have been mistreated and misrepresented. Please stand up for clowns. I'm guessing it has to be part
so
of the show.
Stupid.
But yeah, I get it, but fuck, why are there so many clowns right now?
I don't know.
I'm over it. I'm enjoying American Horror Story, but I'm over it.
I think it's just because it's a big fear for everyone. And I'm going to blame Stephen King's It, the original. And that's what screwed me over.
I did not see it.
Ooh,
I don't care to see it.
I've seen both.
I love it. I do love it.
I had to conquer my fear and go see that this weekend. I
How
saw
was
it as
it?
a child and it scared me shitless. I too had nightmares and saw things that weren't real and had to close my eyes and do the whole wait, is this there? And touching out into the dark and running to the bathroom real quick before. Is it it's
Oh
movie
my God.
good though. It was me. I was more of I conquered my fear and I did it, but I still covered my eyes like a baby because that shit was a little much. Yes.
As someone who has not seen the original or probably will not see the remake, I'm more interested in the second Kingsman movie coming out.
Ooh,
Just
Taron
gonna throw that out there.
Egerton. Whoop, whoop. Yes.
Yeah.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
I've never saw them in theaters.
I
I
love the
just wait
Kingsman.
for a wrap up.
Listen, so good. So good. So good. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the clowns.
Yeah, the clowns are
Thank you for adding.
I wanted to add about the clowns. So that whole Tia, the stuff you talked about people driving around. So that's not new. So back in the day, when I have to say back in the day,
downhill.
Just 1 second.
No, it was to Jenna Lynn's comment in the chat.
Oh, it's cool.
So back in the day.
Yeah, so remember Homie the Clown from 11 Color?
My God, I forgot about him. Yes, I remember Homie the Clown.
So for some reason, when he started
Homie don't play that.
his segments of Homie Don't Play That, there were these alerts of clowns being in these unmarked vans, snatching up children. And I don't know if it was for real or if it was made up to scare the shit out of us. But it's been going on ever since then. Because even a few years ago, and even just more recently, there's been sightings, allegedly, to scare children. But yes, I'm over the whole exposing people to things they don't want to be exposed to. So I feel if you're afraid of clowns, sorry, Jen, you should not have to be exposed to it if you don't want to be.
Then there would be nothing in media.
Yeah, I'm not saying it like that, but I'm just saying it's. I don't know if it's just because of social media, but I feel it's becoming where anytime something becomes a thing, it's overload ad nauseum, and I just feel bad for people who are afraid of certain things who just have to get exposed to it, but they're not ready personally to be exposed to whatever that fear is that they have.
Unfortunately, there's no control for that because the way social media has expanded, people can throw anything up. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I feel the only way to control it is with the social media platforms. One thing that I really hate is do not automatically play video clips while I'm scrolling. Can you not? I'm okay pressing the play button. Just don't automatically play things. But that's the only real way, I guess, to control it.
Yeah. And unfollowing the fuck out of people, which is what I've been doing lately.
Yeah.
So I want to whine about airing people's dirty laundry on social media.
Hashtag
and that's Yes, hashtag segue. The worst segue. And this is more about a little tea. So I'm on a couple of groups on the Facebook, and so what happened was someone was seeking advice about the relationship, and so people were throwing advice on there, and I even commented, just being supportive, really. And then friends, and then their partner happened to also be a member in the group. So they were like, wow, you're just gonna throw our business out there, like you're not gonna just talk to me. And then it was like a back and forth on the post, and it was like, okay, I'm coming to your work so we can talk about it. But it was I'm always like side-eyeing people airing their social media, their stuff on social media, but like this was just the most hilarious instance of this happening, and I thought it was just crazy wild. But yeah, that's my little bit of whining about it. Tia, I know, or Treese, I know you had something else about that too.
Oh, okay. So sometimes it's a guilty pleasure of mine to just happen to scroll on Facebook and see drama going down. But then sometimes I'm like, man, but like you have to go back to that person and everything's okay. So I'm constantly seeing like all these women or Facebook friends of mine like trashing their child's fathers or parents about like things that they're not doing, and it's so inappropriate on so many levels. And then they're always like hashtag screenshot this and go back and tell them what I said because I don't care. And it's like, well, if you had this conversation off social media, you would have no need to post this, like, and it wouldn't have to get back to them. Like, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I like pop popcorn and like chill out and like read the comments and read the
I like that too.
because like shit goes down. But at the same time, like if you're trying to have that relationship with them, like your parent, like you still have to co-parent together, and it's like this is the environment you're bringing the kids into, because the kids also probably have Facebook, and you don't even care because you let your kid have Facebook when they were like 5, and they're only like, I mean, when they were 5 and they're like 5 years old versus being like 12 or 13, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, sometimes oversharing is too much. I don't know when to stop.
I just don't know why people do it. Like in this instance, like the story that I told, like I get it when you're like in a private group and you're looking for advice, but like this blew up in your face because your partner is in this group. So like that wasn't smart either. Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand why people do it.
Yeah. Some people just do it for the like feedback of like, oh no, like for the pity or whatever, and the no, you're doing the thing and blah blah blah, it's okay, just for the, you know, I guess sympathy of it all. But they don't realize that like likes or the sympathy isn't worth putting shit out to the public. So, but yeah, also I am all about that gossip. So sometimes
I love that gossip.
I do scroll down and I'll be like, oh, damn, shit going down. Screenshot, send it to his group me real quick.
I'm always side-eyeing the gossip. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my life.
Sometimes.
Yeah, cringe. It's cringe-worthy stuff.
Yeah. Especially the go back and tell him. I'm like, duh, you know you're going to go back and do it, duh, because I would.
Especially if there's children involved. I'm not even going to get into that, but just
with the divorce and the custody stuff,
there are more effective ways to communicate with people than through other people on social media.
Like, girl, you seen what was on her Facebook page? Because she posted this and she liked the other man tweet. Did y'all see that? Oh, sorry. I went to a whole other thing. Because that's how it be. Oh my God.
Teresa's currently looking at drama on Facebook.
I mean, listen. No, we're about almost done, right? We're going to talk about that 90s house.
Oh, shoot. That's my one.
Yeah.
That's
hold
my.
On.
What is this?
Hold on. I got to get ready. Here.
So there's this new reality show hosted by Lance Bass from NSYNC and Christina Milian. It's called 90s House, and it's on MTV, and it's basically like they get a bunch of teenagers trying to live in a house that was like equipped from the 90s. So like dial-up internet, no cell phones, and you know.
Oh no! How did the peasants live?
How did they grow up this way? Like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm flattered they're they're living in the 90s. I was like hella offended because we did not live that hard in the 90s, right? Like we survived. I don't understand. Like, I would watch like This 30s House. I would love to watch teenagers live in 1930s. That would be something I would tune in for. But real quick though, I did the math because I was told, I'm like, oh, I'm getting all pissed off about 90s fashion coming back around because, you know. But then I guess when we were younger, we were wearing like bell bottoms and 70s. Like all the 70s shit. So make you feel a bit old. When in 2000, we were 14 years old, and 30 years ago was 1970s. So now.
Let me note that in 2000, I was 13. Okay. I was 13.
Okay, youngin'.
I'm gonna put her
proud
on
of it.
I'm gonna put Shirley on mute real quick.
90s baby.
Real quick.
80s baby.
90s baby. My math is legit.
But
okay.
Anyway, so in 2017, which is now 90s.
Shots fired.
You guys, the 90s was 1990 was 27 years ago. So it's kind of like
you
know, I guess the 90s shit can come back because we brought 70s when we were that age, and I guess.
Yeah, but
so
that doesn't
kind of
justify how rude these teenagers are about
rude.
The 90s. It's disgusting. Like, I watch a lot of FBE videos, which is a company. I don't know what the letters stand. I don't know. Okay, it's a company called FBE. I don't know what the letters stand for, but they do a lot of like kids react, teens react, adult react stuff.
I know what you're talking about.
And when they have the teens react to like boy bands and like stuff from the 90s and like alternative rock, they're so rude. Like, they're so rude about it, and it just really pisses me off. But I like to watch them because it's a nice little throwback for me.
Yeah.
A-I-O-U. I mean, some of it's legit, but if you ever make fun of Justin Timberlake's ramen noodle hair with the
You're justified. You're justified.
Ooh, Justified.
No,
that's his album name.
Actually,
yeah,
I'm not okay with that.
And I second that
what it looks like from the outside, but god damn it was fucking hot.
Yeah, exactly. I was a BSB'er. I was a BSB'er.
And you're gonna leave Chris Locks alone because you're gonna let him live and have them fake ass locks because he was the first one to do it with them faux locks. Nah.
Yeah, no one cares about NSYNC. It's all about BSB.
Well, the problem here with Chris Kirkpatrick, though, is because he needed to appear young because he was the oldest of the group. Right? You know, so he had to get the hair because he's like, oh, I'm
no excuses.
Exactly.
You know?
No.
Yeah.
Was that an album? Wait a minute. Was No Excuses an album?
For who?
No, that's Day 26, honey. That's Day 20. That's another boy band. It's Day 26 is more. Yeah, no.
I have never heard of Day 26.
It's called in TV. It's called Diddy, and it's called Making the Band.
Wait a minute. I grew up with no cable. I still have no cable. Leave me alone. Okay. I was poor. Okay. I didn't live that luxurious life of cable. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh no, you didn't grow up with Are You Afraid of the Dark and come home and eat ramen
noodles?
No,
I totally had Are You Afraid of the Are You Afraid of the Dark because there was one summer where we somehow got free cable.
I do remember that sometimes. You sometimes get that Disney Channel on that HBO and you're like, where the hell did this come from? But you fucking savor that shit because you don't know when that's going to leave.
Nope.
Never give you a time.
All of it. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh my god,
summer. That was a great summer.
Piss me the fuck.
I love Legends of the Hidden Temple.
No,
I loved Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Same.
Wait, what?
I call the Senate House floor, however that goes.
Tia's got the floor.
Tia's got the floor. Senator Tia.
That show and
why
those random guys that would come out like right when they are about to get where they need to go at the end.
That was such a great show.
Building up the monkey statue.
There's only 3 pieces, by the way. Kids fuck that up every time.
Yep. But they would get caught. It was like the temple guards or something like that.
Oh my God! Senior year of high school, we based our theme off of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
I love that.
I loved that show. Wow, what was that one with like the slime or the gack or the whatever? What was that one show?
Double Dare?
Lori, Beth, whatever.
Oh no!
It's all that.
No, I know what you're talking about.
No, it was a game show
where they had to like.
Where it was like the celebrities of Nickelodeon,
and you had to figure out what the word was.
And there was like the slime. Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
It was that Olympic swimmer or whatever. She was like on that.
Danny was already
Dominique Dawes.
Girl, no.
I loved Dominique Dawes, but she was not an Olympic swimmer. She was a gymnast.
Can we talk about how they still have the Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon? They still host that.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
I didn't know that.
That's nice. Yeah. I sounded so old. That's nice. Good for them.
I think Russell Wilson has hosted the last couple of years.
Who's that?
Sierra's husband. He plays for the Seattle Seahawks.
Football.
Yeah. Tennessee Bluebirds
too,
but he hosted the last couple of years. He's very wholesome. He goes and visits children in
they seem like a very wholesome couple.
Yeah, they're cute. But
it's called Figure It Out.
Figure It Out, yeah.
Figure It Out.
I've never found him hot, but he was all over those commercials for the Kids' Choice Awards. Don't ask me why I was watching. I was like, okay, I can do this.
Oh, boy.
I can do this right now.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Things just took a turn.
It sure did.
Whoa.
So with that, I think that might conclude this podcast.
Bye.
So thanks for listening / watching our first ever podcast. I appreciate it. If you made it all the way through, go ahead and rate us. We'd appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe so that, you know when we have our next episode up. And go ahead and check out our YouTube channel for extras like bloopers and stuff and links to some of the sources that we mentioned. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
I'm going to start the intro.
Shit. Wait, hold on, make sure I'm recording. Oh, I'm not recording.
There we go.
Yeah, we're recording now.
Fork in my mouth so I can.
I am.
Whoa.
I'm Batman.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
How now? Or we'll just say I'm drinking winking out allegedly. Wait. I won't get sued. Okay, ready? And 10. 10's too big of a number. Let's go 5.
Yeah.
So sorry. It was too much.
Like, is this the ball dropper?
In 20, 19, 18, 17.
We got 10 minutes left. Let's go.
Okay. Oh, man. You guys, this is sounding like a legit podcast.
It really is. It
I'm
really
just...
is.
See, now that problem is that I'm like already blowing up.
Yeah.
When do we start our tour?